Yeah. Same thing. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, that one might be. That one sounds like these might be posted. Yeah, it is. Yeah, the one on Thursday's for PEA. I forget it's for PEA.
I just leave like when we start sure. You help me get connected. I'm like,
Hey guys, if you need some snacks or water or lemonade, we have some out in the lobby for you. There's something sweet and a little salty if you need it.
yeah, but no, I like that. And how do you know her?
I just officially like
Thank you. I'm glad I saw you go by.
I know.
Oh my gosh. How did that even be? How are your things? How are things done? How are things? Like, I don't even have hands. It was like everyone's texting.
It really is. It's a good relationship.
I'm not, but I am. Some that I thought you said that.
just think about how we can like we've done everything.
Right. And actually, I'm supposed to catch Channel 5.
Well, that's what like we don't have these papers yet.
Right. It's okay.
I really like
I thought that the person that it was here, and there was nothing on the that seemed like that's just like right? From picking up, dropping off, starting to stuff on the air.
They have to do it. All of a sudden they time me out.
It's like, we can put things out there. But again,
It's just a matter of how bad.
just because they know your name. Right. Because I know where she sat down. I don't think she's done that. They actually own it.
You're doing a great job.
Rolled my eyes on camera.
You already saw it.
Oh, they stay on. She's not in the country. They're still here.
Oh, so they do some good acting.
Vanessa's running, but she's not here. Right? No, this is not
Sorry, that's right.
Ted knows my feelings. Then I mentioned something. I mentioned whatever. I mentioned that she's right. She's been here.
That's awesome. The kids in the office, it was a very good idea.
That's been, again, you take very
Everybody, because it's in the river, feeding mine, and they had to get up and get up at 6:30 in the morning, and they were, I did it for 15.
What is it?
Yeah. It's a summer. Jacob's work. I did all the kids.
Oh, well, I know.
All right, let's go back to your seats. We're going to get started here. All right, so for this next portion, again, we accepted questions as people were coming in the beginning. And there were, again, some similar questions, things like that. Some of those have been condensed because they were similar as well. But with this next section, Aaron Stevens, our PEA Vice President, is going to go ahead and ask the questions with that. So I'll turn it over to Aaron.
Sorry, I'm a lot shorter than everybody else. Good evening, my name is Erin Stevens, and I am an intervention specialist over at Pickerington Central. We also have questions from people that couldn't make it ahead of time tonight, so the online form we had, so some of these questions are from there as well. So the first question, and we will be starting with Toby, is when was the last time you were in the school building and in what capacity? And then part 2 is, will you commit to regularly visiting the schools to observe conditions to address proactively the ongoing overcrowding and class sizes?
Is this on? With my 4 kids, I'm in the buildings as much as I can be. I regularly am at sporting events for them. My daughter plays basketball and volleyball at Ridgeview, so I'm regularly at those events. I am also a high school official for soccer, basketball, and baseball, so I get to go to, until I'm elected, I get to go to ref sporting events here at Pickerington North and Central. But I plan on, if elected, being involved in getting in the classrooms and seeing the day-to-day operations, because our class, like I've been saying, our class sizes need reduced. And there's got to be alternate ways to do it without having to build a new building right now. So I would say I'm definitely going to be involved, and whatever support is needed to make these class sizes be reduced, I will be 100% behind.
Thank you. Charles?
Sunday afternoon, I was building a bookshelf in the 2nd floor of Central for my boss. Prior to that, I went to the PTO meeting at the grade 2 Sing Elementary School, so that was the last time. But as you can imagine, 5 kids, I'm always there. Love some good Friday night football games at Central. Do I plan to be visible? Absolutely, and not just, you know, in a walk around and say hi, but, you know, to get to meet people, to be, you know, boots on the ground, wherever I can help and things like that. I am, you know, have a daytime job, but have some flexibility to come out and see, and anything in the afternoon is fair game to have me come out and have some fun. If there's gonna be cone of ice, I'm there.
Ryan, same to you.
Ironically, this morning, my son forgot his ELA book at home, so I work remotely, so I got the text from him real quick with the panic, so I ran over to Lakeview, dropped it off, but of course you never just drop something off. You end up in the office and you're chit-chatting, you're talking to people, and of course they know I'm running, so there's always questions there, which are always good. But my kids are very involved in a variety of things. I'm at one of our schools every day of the week, believe it or not, for various practices, games, rehearsals, whatever it is. You know, we're here, we're present, you know, we're volunteering for their activities, whether it's running a concession stand or moving the chains or, you know, volunteering to hand out programs for the latest theater show that's going on. You know, given the constraints for which folks are allowed in schools now, I think I'm in our schools a lot. In terms of my engagement with the schools, you've heard me say it several times tonight. I want to meet people where they're at. I would love to say, I'm going to come camp out in your room all day and just watch you. That's not reality, okay? You have a job to do. It's not my job to disrupt that. It's my job to get that information from you, though. If that is helpful, that is something that I could do, but I need to get the information back from all of our staff members. So in my eyes, you guys spend a lot of time in the buildings already. It's not feasible for me to say, hey, after school, can you stick around for 45 minutes so I can talk to you more? Yeah, you don't want to do that. You have a life too. I get that. But there are mechanisms that we can do to get the feedback, whether that's online feedback, whether that's having monthly events where you can pop in for whatever 5 minutes that you have and talk to us. All of these things are very real and feasible. So I do intend on being present in the buildings, but I certainly don't want to cause any disruptions in the day-to-day. But I think it's important for us to see what you deal with every day. A good friend of mine, she teaches in the special needs area, and hearing her stories at one of our kids' events about her getting punched in the face, it's not the kid's fault. They clearly have some challenges that they're dealing with. But if you don't go into our schools, if you don't talk to our staff members, you don't know these things. The only way to know is to communicate. So I do intend on being visible, but my intent is not to disrupt any sort of school day operations, monopolize times. Running a school is a full-time job. I get that. So I want to meet you where I can and get the information to better work with you. Thank you.
Brooke?
Like I mentioned earlier, campaigning for this role is, I don't know if I could probably put it into words how much it means to me. It means a tremendous amount. So I started doing this in May, and since May I have attended almost every school in this district for some kind of after-school public event. I've been to Harmon Middle School, they had a cultural bazaar, I went to that. I've been now Heritage, I am sorry, Heritage. It was an open house kind of night, and I pulled in right when it was supposed to end. And I'm not going to do that to my teachers. I know they want to go home, so Heritage, I'm coming. But yeah, it's been very important to me to walk into every building and just see what's going on. I also think it's really important to point out that I speak education. It is very, very easy for me to hear a teacher's concern or a teacher's praise or a community member's concern or a community member's praise. Put that into my brain, I understand what they're saying, and I understand where to direct that information because I already speak this language. So if a teacher is going to say, hey, you know, such and such and such, my tier, I was talking earlier, my tier 3, I have too many kids in my class, I can't teach tier 3 like that. I know exactly what tier 3 is, and I know what that means, and I know what that teacher's talking about. I think that that level of communication is very, very valuable. So in terms of being involved in schools, I'm going to continue what I'm doing. If you want to know what kind of board member I'm going to be, go look at my Facebook and you'll see several months of constant community involvement and building up this district as much as I can. And I will continue to do those things. I love schools. I love school sports. I love school plays. I love when I say I love public education, I love public education. This would not be a chore for me. This would be an absolute joy for me.
Thank you. Our next question is, we've heard from you guys tonight about whether or not you would vote for a new operating levy, but what alternative funding sources would you pursue beyond traditional property taxes if you hear from the community that they won't support a new operating levy? And this will start with Charles.
So, background and engagement with City of Columbus, one of my skill sets and something that I do daily is look for alternative grants to fund things that, don't fit into our capital projects. We don't want the levy to fail. We're going to speak victory already, but if it does, there are the effort. And it was funny, I was sharing with Ryan before here, I think sometimes as board members, we think that we are supposed to create or lead programming that fits the budget, but part of it is that we've got to raise money for the budget. So part of it is working with the administrator, working with different ways. How do we get some of these programs? Are there dollars out there that we're not doing? If there's a grant for the Kickball Association of America, hey, let's get that money and put some kickballs out there and provide our programming. But, Joe, I think it's looking beyond just a normal way of operating and seeing what other things can we add to our district that is attached to funding, or what different ways can we look at it. And that's one level. The other way is, we talked about the long-term funding. If this levy does not pass, or if this levy does pass, there is only one thing that every board member, in my opinion, in the state of Ohio, should be doing to gain more money, and that is going down to the State House every opportunity that we have and lobbying and saying, hey, we need money. We need this to change, because that is the major long term. So, it's looking at that alternative. We do a lot of great things in our community and through our schools, and there are grants out there. It's just taking that time to motivate folks to look different. Our treasurer should be looking at what alternative. I don't need you to just manage the books. Your job depends on you getting money, so we need to find some money. Let's do this together.
Thank you. Ryan?
Is Venmo an option?
Yes.
I'm kidding, of course. No, it's multifaceted. I mean, I think you're going to hear similar answers from all four of us, whether it's an operating levy, it's to increase the school district income tax. I think those are viable options. To Charles' point, we elect folks who are supposed to represent us, and then they vote on things like, I don't know, the state budget, and that doesn't reflect what we are actually after. You know what I do want to disrupt our school operations for? Let's bring them in. Let's let them see what this money is for, or what the gap is, or what the need is. Let's bring our elected representatives in, not all day. Pop in, say hi to the kids, get your photo op. And oh, by the way, if we have facilities that need updating, this is the real ask. We have to be advocates at the state level, and quite frankly, even higher than that, because, at least until recently, funding from the feds did exist. I realize that is dwindling as well, shocker. But one of the other things, I'm on the Fairfield County Adam H board. We have a role within the actual Adam H organization. His full-time job is to just look for grants. He looks for grants to bring money in so that we can award them to partner agencies and we can expand our services or reinforce those that we already offer. I know that these things currently happen, but we got to double down on all of them. We all know the realities that school funding is not going to get some big boom, okay? It's dwindling. So where can we look for revenue options? Anywhere possible. And with the impending future of property taxes potentially going away, it's only going to get worse. So we need people on staff that this is their job to determine alternative sources of revenue. We all can't go out and do fundraisers for every little thing that we need. It will never cover the cost. We actually need to convince our community partners of the need, and we need to look for funding in any place that it exists, because that's the only way that we're going to give our kids and our students the best opportunity moving forward. It's not to just sit back and hope something passes, or that we can convince enough people that this is the need. We have to exhaust all of our avenues. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke?
I love talking about public school funding. I'm gonna have to contain myself. I love talking about public school funding. When we talk about advocacy, I have done it. I've done it quite a bit. I have been to the State House demonstrating our desire for increased funding. I've been to Washington, D.C. I've met with Troy Balderson. I've met with Bernie Moreno. I've met with John Husted here. I've had conversations with Jeff Luray. Tim Schaefer doesn't seem very interested in talking to me, but I'm going to keep trying. This is something that is enormously important to me, and I don't, unfortunately, I gotta say this quick. Unfortunately, Pickerington has a front row seat to a very disastrous explosion of public education that is going to happen in this state. We have every negative factor you could, we're growing, I have to compose myself. We need to, as a community, advocate for public education. I'm not trying to be dramatic. Public education is being eliminated in this state. It is being legislated away from us. When this property tax comes up, public education is not going to be the priority, and it's just going to get worse. Public education is tremendously expensive. It's much more expensive than it used to be. And I think people like my age and older have a hard time wrapping our head around that concept. How did it get so expensive? Because what is being asked of schools at this moment is to supplement what society can no longer support. The services that public education provide, mental health, it goes on and on and on. What public education now provides that they did not 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I've been teaching a long time. I can tell you that the schools I teach in, when I first start, are not the same as the schools we need now. So it's going to make people very, very uncomfy, but we are going to have to write our legislators, and we are going to have to demand more attention to public education. I'm assuming there's going to be a question about vouchers. Perhaps there is. But there's not enough time. Our state budget is about $11 billion for 2 years. The state budget is $11 billion for 2 years. Voucher spending has increased 17%. $2.5 billion goes to vouchers in this state when 90% of children attend public education. It is being pulled out from under us, and I'm so afraid that people are not seeing what's going on. So there'll be more conversations about this. Please, please, let's go to the State House. Let's write our legislators. Yay, 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 public education. We need to save it. So that's my answer. I have a lot to say about this.
That one right there. Toby?
As a state employee, I'm in the William Green building downtown. I look out and I see the State House. And I'm gonna be honest with you, our elected politicians do not care about public education. I hate to break it to you. I work for the Department of Youth Services. I'm an auditor. I see the numbers for all 88 counties, the grant money that we send for the troubled youth. The state budget cut $12 million off of it. But we gave $600 million to a rich guy for a football stadium. They proved to us they do not care about your kid's future in the state of Ohio. The federal government is abolishing the Department of Education. They don't care either. The Republicans are going against what we need, and they're pushing the voucher program. We can't use vouchers to go to public schools. Plain and simple. So we need to figure out something in this city. If a levy doesn't pass, when I first moved down here, I started with the state and the Department of Taxation. Income-based school district tax is a good thing, and it's actually, if you look at it, it is cheaper than raising your property tax. And everybody is affected. And it also helps because, honestly, senior citizens are on fixed incomes. If their property tax goes up, they can't afford it. Well, if we do an income-based tax, their Social Security is not taxable. So they will not have to pay that increase. So it will be a short-term fix until we can get a levy passed, but it's an option. And at this point, we are running out of options. So I'm telling you, I've talked to state reps. I see them walking on the streets downtown. They do not care. They can say they care. They can say they're going to make changes. In the end, they told you, they showed all of us, Here's money for the voucher program, here's money to billionaires for a football stadium, and now we're taking away from the kids.
All right, thank you. Did you answer?
I went first, right?
Yes, I have no brain right now. It's been a long day.
I mean, I got more. Just sell more Kona
I
Ice.
mean,
Duh.
we'll move on to Ryan.
It's been a long day, huh?
Yes. This question revolves around staff retention and community programming. What is your plan? So Ryan, we'll start with you now that my brain is back. What is your plan to make PLSD competitive in recruiting and retaining quality staff through improved compensation and working conditions?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I gave this answer earlier. It has a whole lot to do with money, though. Why does anyone do what they do? I mean, you probably have a passion for it, but you also want to be compensated for your time. And if you tell me that I can do the same job 5 miles away for more money, less hours, why would you not take that opportunity? And I'm being honest here. Why would you? Like, I would take that opportunity. It's frustrating when I see the turnover of staff because, you know, these are teachers my kids love. We go to meet the teacher night and all of a sudden, oh, you weren't here last year. You weren't here last year. Like, it's a big, it changes. Aren't we supposed to be a destination district? I mean, it seems like we don't care about that, or at least that's what the money says. I mean, obviously we would all love to wave a magic wand and poof, all the salaries are increased, and that's not how it works. But in order to retain people, you gotta make them feel valued. You gotta make them feel heard and seen. And I think pretty consistently that message has not been delivered to our staff members. So I can't fault them for leaving for a better opportunity for their lives, for their income, for, you know, their family's long-term plans. I fully understand and respect those choices, but we need to change it. We spend an astronomical amount of money training new staff members. We had them here. We didn't have to get new people. We didn't have to train new ones. Obviously, folks retire. I get that. They will leave on their own accord. We'll never solve that problem. Do you know that we can actually save money by literally retaining staff members? No one wants to talk about that. All they want to talk about is, you want another raise? I'm pretty sure most folks get them every year. It all comes down to money. So if we want to retain the talent that we have and attract new talent, we have to make it attractive for them. And it's not by offering, you know, the bare bones or, well, this has worked for the past 10 years. That's not how it works. We have to do better in terms of compensation. There's no promise that we can get a levy passed and magically everyone gets a huge raise and we're going to give you 8% every year. We understand these realities. That's not going to happen. But we can do better. And the first step is getting more money. If we can get more money, we can get a contract where maybe we're not at the negotiating table every year or two. Can we hit the 3-year mark? That'd be great. Can we roll that over afterwards? It'd be great. But first up, we have to secure additional funding. And if we can secure the funding, then we can retain the talent that we have and attract the new talent that we need. Thank you.
Okay, same question to you, Brooke.
Well, as you guys know, I'm a teacher. I'm teaching in a district that has to cut $50 million from its budget this year. $50 million. So when I say I understand, I understand. We had our MOU in August. We approved the MOU for 3 years, but we punted our financials till this year. So I'm in the same boat that you are in. We all, you know, a contract year is a contract year. It would be great for me to say, oh, you know, you're going to 2-2-2 and a 3-3-3. Wouldn't that be great? But we all know the reality that we're in. I know the reality that I'm in the contract that I'm going to be hopefully signing in August. I would encourage every staff member in this district to think of non-economic ways that you can be supported, because this is a great opportunity to ask for those non-economic items. The things that make your life difficult, the things that are laborious, the things in your contract where you roll your eyes, and the things that make you doing your job difficult. We all know the reality that we're in right now. Long term, of course, I'm a teacher. I want you to be compensated the same way that I want to be compensated for the hard work that we do. And that includes our support staff as well. This is where we are. think of non-economic things that would make your life easier. Now is the time. I hope that doesn't sound sad. Really, it isn't. It's a great opportunity to kind of get those weird little things. This is a good time to start looking at those things. I could stand up, oh, I'm a teacher, of course. People are gonna, oh, I'm not gonna vote for a teacher to put on the school board. All she's gonna do is give the teachers raises. We all know it's not that simple. We all know it's not that simple. I don't think we're in a position right now, any of us. We all know. Ask for those non-economic things. Think of them now, because it's going to be a powerful year to ask for them.
Toby?
2 years ago, I was in the middle of negotiations with the state of Ohio for our contract for the OCSEA. And it was very contentious. The state said they had no money, which is hilarious with $4 billion sitting in a rainy day fund. We just don't have that here. But we were able to get 5, 4.5, and 3% raises. And then I was talking to some teachers and said, oh, you guys just got your contract. What was your raise? 2%. 2% is not a livable increase. Our teachers need to get paid well. They're leaving. There's teachers going to the next district over making more money. And then we have to start all over with training a new teacher. And it's a vicious cycle. It needs to stop. And I understand. It's all money. The root of all evil, remember? Money. But we need to start investing in our teachers and keeping them here. Them walking out the door is costing us more money. That is not fiscally responsible of us to let teachers walk away. We need to pay our teachers the salaries that is at least comparable to these other bigger districts.
So I'll say this, and Joey, I don't know if there's a group for spouses of PSSA or, but I'll start, I'll be the chairperson. You talk about retaining staff. It is in 2025, this is my opinion, and this is what I stand on. It is diabolical that we have people working in our schools that are working for less than $15 an hour. And so when you talk about this, we're not talking about, people wanting to do it. It's can they do it? And so when we talk about our support staff, I'll start with them because, that is just, it's unheard of. And I've been here before. In the city of Columbus, we led the threshold of making sure that all of our salaries were a minimum in partnership with Franklin County at $15. And that's not good enough. But that was where we said this was the minimum. And so when you look at teachers, when you look at all of, people love it. I watch my wife. I know the teachers that loved me and took care of me. I just saw one of my teachers who said she's 47 years. You don't do it for 47 years because the pay is, you're not making $1 million. You do it because you love it. But at some point, we have to stop taking advantage. And so I look at it as it's not more than just saying yes. I understand how budgets work. But I think where we are in the district is that we don't want to just hear no. Let's change that answer to not right now, but back it with a strategic plan on how we can hit the numbers. And so whatever that is, and I don't know the treasurer. I've never met the treasurer. I'm going to throw him out there. Y'all tell him I'm sorry, but in the org chart, he reports to the board, so he's going to get a lot of questions from me, but we need you to be able to do more than just bookkeeping. Give me some forecasting. What does it look like to get to this $15 threshold? What does it look like to get our teachers to a step salary? What will we have to bring in so that when we go to the table, teachers are able to say, we know we have to do this. Board members are understanding what we have to get the budget to. We don't need anybody to be a bookkeeper. We need a chief financial officer, somebody that's forecasting how we make it happen, not just saying, no, it can't happen. And so until we think that way, and look at what we know where our minimum is and say we are working to get to this, we're not going to retain people, and we're not going to recruit people because there's no forward thinking in anything that we do financially in this district when it comes to our salaries. It's just, this is what we have. Hopefully we can get some people. I'm tired of seeing banners on the corners of our schools trying to get bus drivers. It's not the banner placement, it's the amount of money that you have on the banner. That's why we're not getting janitors. And so we have to build on it because we need them. That's personal as somebody who looked at the W-2s of my wife who worked 40 hours a week and was like, this is all you made? I'm done.
So this one kind of is what you guys have been alluding to, but what is your position on allowing religious release time programming in our schools and then the compensation for vouchers along with it? Brooke, we're starting with you.
Okay. It would be really disingenuous of me to make, and I know what the question is asking. I'm not going to use the specific. We all know what we're talking about. I went to a parent engagement night because I wanted to see for myself what was being offered in this religious education. I have no problems with religious education. I understand that that's what the law is. And this organization spent a tremendous amount of money to ensure that that's what the law is. So they were successful there. They were lovely. I talked to someone. She answered lots of my questions. However, I have concerns about the timing of this. I understand that kids can be released for religious education. However, we have a 40-minute time frame, door to door. That seems awfully tight. And as a teacher myself, I know what it takes to put kids on a bus. I know what it takes to take off a bus, and I know what it means to have a meaningful lesson. Also, part of that parent engagement night was a sample lesson. And for my OTES people in here, I would give that a limited rating. It did not scream to me as being a well-rounded lesson that was really panned out very well. I feel like there's a lot of money on the selling points. And I'm trying, okay, you know what I'm saying. But I'm not somebody who up here just has an axe to grind and doesn't want any kind of religious release. No, not at all. That's not at all. But I do think a community partnership is best when it includes the entire building and it lifts up the entire building and it doesn't use coercive tactics to get children to participate. Vouchers, oh my goodness, we need to stop. We need $2.5 billion on vouchers, 17% increase. No, I could, give me a whole nother time about the vouchers. I could go over it all, but no vouchers, no thank you. We need public money to stay in public schools because public education is for everybody, and voucher schools do not have to abide by the same standards that public schools do. If they want public money, then they should have to play by the rules, and they are not.
Thank you. Maybe, yep, there you go. Toby?
The religion question. I do not think children should be released during the school day for religious instruction. Growing up, I went to a Catholic school for 8 years. Kids in the public schools were given an option Sunday mornings to go to Sunday school, and where they would keep up with us in the Catholic school. So we would all make our first communion, first penance, confirmation together. But that was a choice that they had. But it was on a Sunday morning. They're not being taken out of class time. They chose to go Sunday morning. This option of taking the kids out of the building in the limited time that we have as it is just does not make sense. I understand, kids are busy. I have 4 kids, 2 are playing baseball, 1's playing volleyball, 1's at cheerleading today. They're all over the place. I know things are busy, time is busy, but that's what the weekend is for. I attend Grace Fellowship, and my kids go during service into their little groups, and I honestly think that is enough for them to get that's an hour and a half about with other peers of theirs, and they're learning about religion. If you have another religion you want to learn about, there's, I'm sure, other churches. Charles is a pastor at a church. I'm sure they have some kind of little groups for kids to learn. And I just don't see how we need to be taking kids out of the school building, sending them on a big red bus, and bringing them back to school. And I've heard from my own kids that, oh, these kids are coming back with candy and toys, and they're like, "Go, can we go do that?" That's now we're pushing the envelope now. As for vouchers, that is just, it's just silly. It is silly that our tax dollars are going to vouchers for public or for private schools. They're public funds. They should need to be used on in the public school system, not private. If you have the money, you want to go to private school, you should have the money to pay for it. My tax dollars should not fund you to send your kid to a private school.
Thank you, Charles.
So I'll answer the easy one first, which is the voucher question. Absolutely not a realistic. I mean, we do it, but it's just not realistic. You can't look at one system, meaning public education, and then create another system without fixing the first system. And so to me, it's, we're taking the same money and we're draining, but at the same time, as Brooke alluded to, holding standards on our public education to do the impossible, and then, you have these schools that don't. So, if I'm paying taxes, let's make all of our schools good schools, and then we can do it. The second one, the first, but my second question. There's no secret. I knew this was going to come up. I'm a Baptist pastor. I've been preaching for 20 plus years. I've been a senior pastor for the last 13 years. And I've been approached. And the question was asked, will you, if you're an elected school board member, will you allow religious release? My answer is absolutely yes. They smile. Yeah, because it's the law. You gotta follow the law. It's the law. Yes, absolutely yes. Somebody's gonna cut this, and I'm gonna be on a reel that says he's crazy, but it's the law. We don't have a choice. But this is what I would say, and I share. My sentiments are a little bit different. I'm a pastor. My whole life has been built into how do I get to people to navigate in the relationship of their religion and all of that. And for me, it's, is this effective? Is it consistent? And is this going to be something that can be done in our district? Is it a no? No, but it's like anything else. How do we make this work for Pickerington? And my church is not a cookie cutter church, just like any other church. And you can't just apply it. I can tell you right now, the 5 Newman boys, you can give them all the candy and pizza in the world. They are not going to another Bible study because their daddy is the pastor, so they get Bible study all day long. But that's for my house. It may not work for other people's houses, but what has to work is that we have one job. We have to effectively educate children when they're in our classrooms and in our buildings. And when the effectiveness of education is not being held up, then we have to do what we do about everything else. Are we doing what's best for the student? Are we doing best for the student? And I live by that. And if you need more time, 1825 Woodland Avenue is the Antioch Jordan Baptist Church. Every Sunday, drop them off with us, and we'll give them all the Bible they need. Shout out to the church. So I'll get that there.
Sorry, Ryan. You're up next.
Can we switch spots or something? I'm actually going to answer these in the reverse order. So I'm a huge advocate for public education. You could take every dime in the state budget towards education and put it towards vouchers, and you know what you end up with? A whole bunch of kids that can't go to school, okay? I'm not a fan of vouchers. I'm a product of public education. Quite frankly, I probably would not be sitting here without it. In terms of religious instruction, I'm a big believer. First off, it's state law. I can't change it. I mean, it is what it is. We go to Seton. our kids go to religious education. That was our choice. I approach this from the perspective of my day job. I'm a project manager, okay? I worry about the logistics for our schools. Already, I challenge anyone that already doesn't work in the school, that is, to go into the school around lunchtime and see how many extra bodies they have to do things. Let's just wait, okay? You might be waiting in the office for 10 or 15 minutes because they're busy, okay? So my concern is always, you need to have somebody who corrals these kids from the classroom, who takes them to the front door, because I believe LifeWise is not allowed into the building or any other organization. They have to then release them to get on the bus, and then they have to come back in 20 or 30 minutes to get them back off of the bus and then back into the educational setting. We don't have enough bodies to do the work as it is. So we're now have to embrace this because it's state law. It's not my cup of tea. If a parent wants to do that, that's fine on them. I'm worried about the school operations and what happens when we're short-staffed. You know, some random Friday in February where you have a bunch of people who had to call out because they're sick or because it's a Friday or whatever the case is, and you now need a body to come and take these kids back and forth for what, 20, 30 minutes? I don't know what the timelines are. I don't think that's good use of resources. So I tackle it very much from my day job, which is a project manager. We can impact time, money. It's really about it. So to me, if that's something that a parent wants to choose for their kids, so be it. I mean, it's state law. There's no one up here that can change that. I want to make sure that our kids are safe. I want to make sure that they are being transported by trusted adults. And I want to take the onus off of our staff that are already stretched thin to have to cart them back and forth and make sure that they get back into the school and back involved in the daily education. Thank you.
All right. Toby, we're going to start with you. What is your position on all-day kindergarten in Pickerington local schools?
When I moved here, I was surprised we didn't have an all-day kindergarten. That was shocking, because everywhere I've ever been has had an all-day kindergarten. Even when I was in kindergarten, we had all-day kindergarten. I believe we need to have all-day kindergarten. There's no way you can have a child, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, go to school for half a day, and then all of a sudden, here we're going to transition you to a 7-hour day. These kids need to be in the classroom all day. And again, we'll go right back to that report card. Early literacy. Half-day kindergarten's not going to help that. They need to be in the classroom for the full day. And there's no reason why we should be in the situation where we're even having this debate. This should already be done. Every surrounding community has it, so why don't we? It needs to be done. We have to figure out a way to get it done. And it's the only thing that's going to help these kids, help them learn more. Half a day, if you figure a half a day of kindergarten, they get in 9:15. By the time you calm them down, because 5-year and 6-year-olds are real calm in the morning, so I'll hop up on sugar from their waffles or whatever they ate. So once you calm them down, you're about 9:30, 9:45. You do a couple things, and then you they have like specials, and now it's almost 12 o'clock time to go home. That's not teaching them anything. They need to be in the building. They need to have a structured day, just like you would in first, second, all the way on to senior in high school.
All right, Charles.
So when it comes to all-day kindergarten, I have 2 unofficial reasons why I'm running for school board. One is 20 years from now, I want to be like, yes, I was part of the board that solved the problem for all of Pickerington. And the other one is I just want a good seat at graduation when my children graduate. But that's why I'm here. No, but all jokes aside, as a leader, I process things by 2. What I honestly feel is the best thing, and then what I have data support. And this right here is a no-brainer for us. We know in our hearts, as educators, as parents, that the best thing is to get our kids in front of the structured classroom learning sooner. But the best thing about Pickerington is that we have data. I was able to look at the scores and the data from the pilot at Tusing Elementary School and see how those kindergartners who were now this year after that pilot are now in comparison to Tollgate, not putting our schools against each other, but just that educational system, and they were. And those teachers have to appreciate that their kids are doing better. So yeah, we have state report cards that say we're the 2-star, and I think, we look at that, but I'm looking at the data that we have internally shows that all-day kindergarten does work. It's not about money. It's not about what people feel. At the end of the day, when we talk about student first, it's what is actually happening in the classroom. And when it comes to all-day kindergarten, what actually happened in the classrooms were those kids left that kindergarten in the first grade as better readers, as better able to do math, as better students. And I don't know why we would ask why we do it. If it makes them better kids, let's do it.
Ryan?
So oddly enough, I woke up this morning and right outside my house, big old sign. First I was a little confused, but then I realized the house next to me has pretty much been vacant for the past 5 years. I'm like, great, someone's finally moving in. I get a neighbor. So I gave it a few hours because the movers are bringing everything in, and I see the guy who's moving in. He backed his little car in, he's unloading some stuff, and I go over and I'm being neighborly. I introduce myself, and we get to talking, and he has a 5-year-old. He said, "What's up with part-day kindergarten?" I said, "Welcome to Pickerington." It's a real problem. Talk about the gap that our students experience due to COVID. Throw in part-time kindergarten with that. There's a reason our scores are what they are. It's a reality. There's no blame here. We need full-day kindergarten. But the reality is that requires more classrooms. Schools aren't cheap to build. I get it. It keeps coming up. It's like it's a theme here. We need money. Full-day kindergarten, I think if you're part of a board of education and you don't support it, I'm not sure why you're on the board of education. I fully support it. We need it. I can't fathom resetting a classroom after 2.5 hours of corralling 27, 28 very energetic children. I would be exhausted after the first session, and then you got to take a quick break if you get one, and then do it again. No, that's asinine. That's crazy. But then you couple the fact with, can you pick any other grade, K through 12, that you're like, you know what, part-time. You should go part-time. That's the grade right there. I can't come up with one. When you have a bunch of 5- and 6-year-old kids around you where their brains are like a little sponge, and you can literally teach them anything, but you're like, you know what, 2.5 hours a day, we're good. You don't need any more than that. Who does that? We do. It's not what we should be doing. Yet again, we know what we need to do. But the funding constraints have been real. How do we get the funding? We got to ask for it. We got to make the case for it. Full-day kindergarten is not going to be cheap. It's not just hiring staff. It's the classroom, the physical classroom space itself. I love the pilot program that we've been doing. I think that's a good first step. It needs to go further. If you have an option, hey, you can send your kid to part-day kindergarten for free, or you can pay for a full-day private program. I don't doubt why people are looking for that full-day private program. It's not what I endorse, but it's the reality. Do you want to give your child the best leg up? It's probably not with 2.5 hours a day. And in that regard, we're not serving our community very well. So I'm a huge proponent of full-day kindergarten. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke?
Wouldn't that be shocking if I said no?
Do it.
No, I think full-day kindergarten is a terrible
Break the
idea.
internet.
Of course, I think it's a great idea. And, like it's been reiterated, it's people in space, people in space, people in space, and funding. My opinion as a teacher, and I teach K through 12, I have a very unique job in that I work with a huge variety of students. And anywhere from, preschool's got this figured out, but anywhere from kindergarten to 12th grade, any school district is going to be elevated if there is increased opportunities for small group instruction. Increased opportunities for small group instruction. That goes for all grade bands. That is it. That is it. So I'm taking this opportunity to make sure you know that that's where I stand. This is a growth mindset though. We're not in a growth mindset right now. We're in a status quo, I hope we don't drown kind of mindset right now. Assuming we're able to get back into a growth mindset, full day kindergarten, people space, and any opportunity to increase the time that children receive small group instruction is going to do astronomically wonderful things for this district. We just need to get back to a growth mindset. But in terms of priority, yes, full day kindergarten is a huge priority. Hear me out. Crazy idea. Wouldn't it be great if we had a Young Fives program? Let's take it a step further. We don't even know what Young Fives is in this state because we don't fund public education. But Young Fives is a great program for kids who have their birthdays over the summer. They're very immature 5-year-olds. We all know, I student taught in kindergarten and teach kindergartners all the time. If you are a Young Five, you might not be ready for kindergarten. It's a wonderful opportunity for kids to have another year between preschool and kindergarten. But, that's crazy. That's crazy. We need to just get to a better place for full day kindergarten. But I have all kinds of wonderful ideas of things that I know would work because I'm a teacher. We just need to get back to a growth mindset. It's going to take time. It's going to take patience. It's going to take advocacy. It's going to take the entire community coming together to make that happen. It's not just going to happen up here for this board. But yes, full day kindergarten, of course.
All right, everybody's alluded to this at some point or even shown it tonight. What are your thoughts on the current report card, the results that just came out? And do you feel there's a way to bridge the gap between these scores? It's going to start with Charles.
Okay. So, it's a report card. Everybody's had a bad report card before, and we didn't get a bad one. We got a good one. We just didn't get perfect. I think it's a great assessment to see where we need to go. And honestly, I'm glad that everything wasn't perfect. Because the truth of the matter is, I am tired of us living in Kansas and thinking that Pickerington is perfect. We got to do work. And what that did to it hopefully all 4 of us and the other 3 and everybody else that are sitting there made us look at that and say, hey, we've got some work to do. We've got a starting point. If we want to look at what it means to be student first, these are the priorities. These are where we are not, being where we need to be at in our district. What buildings do we need to look at? And it's not about pointing anybody out or saying anything. It's about let's get back to not just looking at everything as one whole thing, but kind of individualize some things. Okay, hey, this is a strong point for Tollgate. What is Tollgate doing that Fairfield isn't doing? What is Tucson doing? And then we start building a collective and building a culture where, hey, we're going to pull you up so that we can get 5-star. But honestly, looking at what does it take to get the 5-star and what does it take to get us? And if we're going to continue to keep doing things the same way that we're doing, then nobody should be shocked that we have a 4.5. Because if you keep doing what we're doing, then we're not going to be progressing. And education is a progressive thing. It has to progress. It has to change. We have to add things. And so for me, I don't think it's the white flag, oh, we're going bad. No, we are still Pickerington. We are still, at the end of the year, going to have millions of dollars in scholarships. We are still going to have a football team that is going to be great. Now, I'm not going to say which one, but we also are going to have some opportunities to work. And the truth of the matter is, I'm glad we have something to work for, because January 1, when this board takes over, then we have a job to do. And it's not just sitting there on Monday morning and arguing about whether we're going to get, a scoreboard or not. It's let's start dealing with the real issues at hand, and servants can be servants. So I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to get us to a 5.0.
Thank you, Brian.
5 stars.
A report card's a tool. I saw it come out. Obviously, we want the best, and we want to be 5 stars, and we want to put that out there. It's a tool. How many of your kids struggle with taking tests? Okay, we just talked about full day kindergarten. You wonder why our early literacy is down K through 3? Huh? I'm not surprised there. I think that's a reflection of our current environment. I don't think it's anything to drastically overhaul things. I think it identifies areas for improvement, for sure. But let's not forget there's a huge component. You don't have these kids all day, every day, okay? You can't make them read at home. You can't make them do homework. My wife hates when I tell the story. When I was in school, I didn't do homework. I know it's a shocking thing. Because I could just show up and I could pass the test. So why am I spending all my time doing homework when I can go have fun with my friends? I did it all the time, drove my mother absolutely crazy. It wasn't that I couldn't do the homework. I had other things I wanted to go do. And my mom was a single mom working 80 hours a week with 3 kids. She wasn't there to reinforce it. There's a huge component of this report card that is not on our schools, okay? It's a tool. It can be useful, tells us where we're at, lets us measure things. It's all great. We definitely have some areas for improvement. I didn't lose sleep when it came out. I'm pretty confident that the blurb came out, saw it on my phone, I kept moving on with my day, okay? It is important. Measuring progress is incredibly important. I think that we place so much emphasis on standardized tests, and did we check that box? I'm sure some of you have been educators long enough that you didn't have to teach to the test. My oldest daughter in 3rd grade, one day we got 2 notices, very different notices. One of them said that she was on some sort of a reading improvement plan, and the other one said she was in the gifted program for next year. What? You know why that was? Because I learned after that fact, I talked to her amazing 3rd grade teacher. She said, we're not allowed to talk to the kids when they take the test. So my oldest, who's very intelligent, she went through that first page and turned it in. You couldn't prompt the child to say, did you finish the rest? That was it. So we've handcuffed you, and then we have a report card coming out saying, you need to do better. Well, which is it? Can you just teach the kids? Sure you can, but that's not the system that we have. It's just a tool. I don't get overzealous about, oh my gosh, we went down to 4 stars, what are we gonna do? It's not what we do, okay? You guys know the students best, and quite frankly, until we fix our kindergarten problem, I don't really see that early literacy improving by leaps and bounds. Because that requires the at-home component to meet you where you're at. Thank you.
You got the whole countdown.
I did. I got overzealous with it. My apologies.
Like I said, I'm a teacher in Columbus City Schools. Our union president, every year when the report card comes out, makes a great post about how the report card is a great socioeconomic test. And, so fantastic. I understand as a board member, you need to be looking at this information and try to figure out where the gaps are and try to make policies and try to, encourage growth where it needs to be encouraged. But if you ask teachers about the report card, it is just like, if you ask teachers about the OST, it's the same reaction. This sounds probably a little like kumbaya, I don't know, but what the tests don't measure is joy. I can tell you with 100% certainty, and every teacher in this room can tell you with 100% certainty, that a joyful classroom is going to be a highly performing classroom. In whatever way you manage highly performing. What I teach, I don't necessarily assess performance in the same way. My way's different. But joy is going to improve every classroom, and that is not measured. Learning is not always fun. Learning is sometimes very stressful, sometimes very anxiety-provoking, sometimes very uncomfortable. Sometimes it's fun, but joy should always be in the classroom. And unfortunately, with this big emphasis on all these testing and all these, I understand that it's there and it's part of the gig, it's part of the job, we all know it. And I wish that wasn't the only reflection that the community had. Well, it went from 3.5 to 3 stars, or what have you. Oh, look at Columbus City, they're only 2 stars. There is so much more to classrooms and schools and loving on children and providing them with nurturing and welcoming environments that is not measured on the report card. So, I don't know, maybe there should be a test for that. I don't know, but that's how I feel. Toby?
Report cards. I understand how my fellow opponents are talking about report cards, but growing up, report cards were kind of important. I got my personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut for good grades. I see 4 good things on here. I see students who are ready for the college, career, workforce is at 61%. That's failing. In my mind, that's failing. Early literacy, 3rd grade reading proficiency is at 62%. That's failing. But my biggest concern is this pretty little symbol right here, the state of Ohio. The same people who said, your kids don't need any more money. And they cut our funding. So we have to take their tests to fill out their stuff, but they're taking our money. Make that make sense. I honestly think this report card has a lot to still do with COVID. A lot of those kids were COVID kids. They learned on 20 minutes a day in kindergarten on an iPad. And honestly, I think we need to go back and get away from the computers. I think the computers are killing our kids' reading. I know my kids hate iReady. I'm sure teachers hate iReady. I, to this day, still trying to look at their scores and go, how we have different scores in the fall, spring, like, what? This makes no sense. These kids need to get back and read real books. It's frustrating that a computer is going to tell us what our kids' scores are. And, I'll throw my 5th grader out there right now, but he's not a good test taker. He hates taking tests. He will fly through a test and the teacher will turn around and go, Brady, did you even read it? He's like the kid that just picks C for everything. But like Ryan said, the teacher cannot stop him. He could turn that in, and now his standardized test is all over the place. I think we need to look into getting away, as much as we can, getting away from these standardized tests and look at different options. Like a big thing was Acadians is another one that my younger kids were doing. And the teacher said that gives them better, more accurate depiction of how the kid's reading than iReady does. So let's get away from this iReady. And let's move into something that, if teachers are agreeing that works better, why aren't we using it? And let's get back into books. We need kids to read physical books again.
All right. Final remarks. 1 minute. You get 1 minute for any closing remarks, and we will start with Ryan.
Well, first I'd like to thank PEA and PSSA for having us out. I think these forums are paramount to making informed choices. So thank you for having us. If you want to find out anything more about me, I am on Facebook. You can also check out my website, holsteinforpLSD.com. I will stick around after if you have any questions or if I can elaborate on anything that I didn't take my full 3 minutes to elaborate on. I'm happy to answer any questions. We have a great experience here in Pickerington. My kids love it. We are thrilled that we're here. Are there areas to improve? Yeah, that's why we run, so we highlight all of those, but I don't want it to get lost in translation. The amazing work and the amazing relationships that our staff members have, definitely with my kids, and I would imagine across the board that you have those, and those relationships speak volumes. I'm always asking how I can help, what do I need to know, and every time I ask a teacher that, like, you really want to know? Yeah, I do, I'm here. So I appreciate you, thank you, and if you have any questions, I'll be around after. Thank you.
All right, Brooke, 1 minute.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Me. One of the really fantastic parts of having this position is being able to shake the hands of our outstanding athletes and artists, students who have made enormous academic achievements, and I would really look forward to that. I want the kids of Pickerington to know, the ones that don't have any friends, the ones that are on their second manifest of the year, the ones who are in credit recovery, the ones that are weirdos. I'm rooting for you too. Public education is for everybody, and I believe that to the core of who I am. And I promise you, if you put me in this role, I will work so hard for every student. This means a tremendous amount to me, and I want so desperately to serve this community. Thank you.
Toby?
I'd like to thank PEA for having us here today. Pickerington's changing. We all know that. Our previous administration, who is no longer superintendent at this district, I feel that he kind of brought our district back down. And with Charlie now, I believe Charlie is on the right path, and the current board has 3 spots up, and I believe all 3 need changed. And if I'm elected, I will be that change that we need. I will be out there, as they say, shaking hands and kissing babies to get levies passed, to get things changed, because we need a change for the good. We made our change in superintendent, we make our change in our school board, we're gonna make our changes in the schools. And then it's gonna only thrive and make our community a better place.
All right, Charles, you are the last one this evening.
Like everyone said, thank you so much for having us. I'm Charles Newman. I'm from here, still live here, raised my children here. I've been on the ground, grassroots. A lot of people in this room have seen me before. I fight for the voiceless. And sometimes my fight isn't what people like, but it's always for the voiceless, is always well-being. I've learned from every people in this room. I've learned from you all. I'm proud to be here. I'm continuing to fight because I've learned that even when you lose, even when you have disagreements, you can't make progress if you don't continue to show up to the table. And so this run is me showing up to the table again for those that don't have a voice, for those who have a voice but want it to be louder, and for those that are coming. And so I'm running to serve, and I want to be a part of the change that I know is going to happen in Pickerington.
Thank you. Brad wants to say his final words.
Yeah, we just want to thank, first off, all the board candidates for joining us tonight and answering the questions. I want to thank all the community members and staff members that have been here. Maybe when we end here, if you guys maybe want to kind of get in front of the stage, maybe 10 minutes or so. I want to be respectful of the people that have volunteered to help out with facilities and everything. So again, if you want to have a little discussion, but maybe after the 10 minutes, make your ways to the exits. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.